Let's go live. Okay, hello. It's Friday, to which Topic Friday. That's a thing that we're trying again for the second time. And man, last week was such a beautiful thing. Getting to just go full blown on this conversation about Halo I've wanted to have for ages. And there's definitely a conversation to have about so many things. And I hope over time we get like continuous ideas and submissions and such for things that we could do. And I want you to always submit that. I'm going to always be posting to my community tab. And I did have this idea for this show to be talking about, you know, the most impactful games, which I do want to do that. I think that is a very good show. But I did see C2 go that Sarah Bond video. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that is admittedly going to be kind of the backbone today's weekly gamer book club, if you will, of Xbox essentially announcing this partnership with AMD, but it also has some little verbiage that I think is really important to kind of reflect on the direction that Xbox is going. They announced their, you know, partnership with ROG with making, you know, a sort of handheld. They're trying to really address Windows 11. Gaming is becoming more and more expensive. How much are we willing to pay for something? When is their next gen console and how much is that going to be? There's just kind of a lot of things that admittedly I didn't want to talk about two Xbox related topics in a row, but I thought, why not? It's kind of a timely thing. And then next week, oh boy, next week we're gonna go back to having some fun. So C2's like with the sunglasses, yeah. You gotta think, yeah. But I also encourage you to try to figure out, if you ever listen to the background, what this week's gaming soundtrack is. I'm just gonna constantly be talking over it. So let me know if you're here by dropping an emote in the chat, as well as what you are playing this week, an initial maybe like topics to talk about. As usual, I'm going to approach this similar to the Halo week last week, where I have bullet points that I'll have on screen. I think I have about like 7 or 8 of them. And if you support the stream enough, then we can go beyond the hour that I initially planned for this. And I appreciate you so much. Supertone, Dog Tag, Allied Boy, C2, and Creature with a duck for coming to this stream. Appreciate you guys so much. I hope you have a good time today and that you have a great weekend. But without further ado, sorry, I'm just like hearing the soundtrack. So anyways, quack. See Allied quack. So, oh wait, Dog Tag. Just bought Resident Evil 7 and 8 gold editions. $10 each on Microsoft or Xbox sale. I may play them. Wait. If you bought them, then you better play them, Dog Tag. You better play them if you bought them. All right. Oh, and Allied Boy, if I could rank each of the poll answers one under... Oh, okay, so, and I'll address this first. I posted a poll to my community tab. That's going to be sort of a teaser as to the many things we are going to talk about today. And I asked the community, you know, in terms of whatever the next Xbox is, which is the other thing we kind of got teased at with this Sarah Bond update that we're going to talk about. 50 of you voted in the community tab. And the vast majority is like, the most important thing about this system, it has to stay under $1,000. It has to. And I did see a comment as to like, why would you say 1,000? Like, it should be like 700 or 800 or something. And it's like, there's reasons that this console could be stupid expensive, and we're gonna talk about it. And Rocket, you should start an actual games book club. That's what this kind of is. Like, I wanted this to be an opportunity, Rocket, to kind of do that and to bring a topic every week that people can dive into. But I also just don't want to, like, make it seem like we're only going to talk about Xbox here. Next week, we're going to be having a Game of the Year check-in. And checking in on the Fantasy Critic. The week after that, maybe we could talk about the one I was going to do, which is the most impactful video games. Just kind of a neat topic every Friday to kind of get together, hang out, or lurk if you don't have any input. I appreciate your ears. But yeah, most people said keep it under $1,000. Will that happen? I might have the answer to that. But the runner-up was accessing Steam and Epic. That's another thing that we're going to have to talk about because, yeah. But, and with the third option being timed exclusives, and pretty impressively, and I'm very happy, actually, this was the bottom, resolutions and frames being beyond PS5 Pro. That was the bottom answer. And I'm very intrigued by that. But I'm also kind of, like, not surprised at the same time because, yeah, that is, I don't know, like that's, I just feel like we've kind of reached our max fidelity, and I think people are kind of aware of that. Rocket's already answering a question that I do want to post later. I'm going to post a poll about it, and I'm curious what you would say. Like, Rocket says, I'd pay $1,000 for a console that rivals PC. We'll see. And Dogtag, I just can't justify spending more than $500 for the portable. We're going to talk about the Ally X and regular Ally. I know that's unrealistic, but above that is a wild investment for more of the same, just portable. And Allied Boy, I might pay $1,000 if they built a Series X console in the form of the OG Prototype X. Oh, like the actual, I know what you're talking about, Allied, like the original X. Anyways, so the kind of backbone to everything we're talking about today is this announcement of the Xbox AMD partnership. And Sarah Bond came up with an official video that is essentially boiling down to, you know, she's just announcing, hey, we have made an official partnership with AMD. But there's a few key notes in this. You know, she talks about, like, it's part of our mission to, like, you know, have Xbox be accessible everywhere. But a big point about it is there's a lot of little nuggets that I'm sure, you know, they prepared this like crazy to announce. Like every word of this update was very meticulously crafted. But something I think, there's a couple things and I have them as bullet points, but she mentioned one, like we want to integrate these AMD things for all of our stuff, for our consoles, for our handhelds, for our cloud, for our PC, like everything. We want to integrate these AMD things everywhere. And we're going to use AI as well to help upscaling. Now, very curious. People just hear the word AI and they're like, but I'm very curious what you think. And it's just, what I think is interesting about this, because they've done this for a while. Like AMD and Xbox go all the way back to freaking, I don't know if even the beginning, but the least the Xbox One. You know, like every, the processor I think that Xbox has used has always been in partnership with AMD. And I would want to know your input about this, or if you think there's anything more significant about this partnership. But I think what's important is the wording. The wording, Sarah says, like in our cloud servers, in our consoles, with an asterisk, S, plural, consoles. We have to talk about that. Because there's something about that I actually don't like. But it just kind of, but also putting this up the week following announcing the ROG Ally. You know, it's the week following them announcing this handheld system that they did. And it's just very interesting to pair how hard they got tons of content creators to fly out to try this, you know, Xbox Ally X or whatever. And they had all those content creators talking about like how it feels, how like the UI based off the presentation. And then the following week, you know, they announced this partnership with AMD for their next generation that Sarah has already teased at, I think starting, I want to say last year, either last year or the year before. And another thing we're going to bring up is just like, when is this next generation? Is she kind of like prepping us up for it? That's another conversation that we're going to have. That's why I thought like this might be a neat little backbone of a conversation to have. But Allied Boy says AI. What's the A stand for? I know that reference. I know. Does anybody know that reference? I know that reference. Artificial. What's the intelligence? Dog tag, it's all becoming homogenized. I don't know that word. AMD everything, Unreal everything, many pros and cons. Yeah, they definitely are going a lot with Unreal as well. Like, yeah, AMD and Unreal are making a killing. And Dogtag, I don't want a weakest link runt version of the console next time. The Series S was forcing Xbox to drag its feet. So, you know what? Let's just talk about that right now. Like, I have that as a later bullet point, but, where is it? Yeah, there we go. Let's just talk about that. Because she did mention multiple SKUs. And I think the reason this is important is because we kind of had to deal with that this generation. We had to deal with the fact that there was 2 different Xboxes that third-party publishers had to design for, you know? And because of that, you know, some, like Black Myth Wukong, like, were secretly probably making exclusive deals behind the scene. But this was their strategy going into this gen. They did not, and I see C2 agreeing with Dogtag. Like, this was a strategy that they had to go in with this generation is, you know, let's have a very accessible Game Pass box, if you will, that's like all digital, and it's like going to be the cheapest way people can experience next-gen games, including over a PS5 digital. And we'll have our Series X for the more hardcore peeps that want that stronger 4K capabilities and a disc drive. They tried that this gen. Now, I'm very curious if that worked out for them. I see Dogtag saying CD Projekt Red is open and about the struggle it will put on Witcher 4 on Series S. And Rocket Android phones have the same problem. And no name, should I sell my PS5 today or tomorrow? Well, we'll see. And C2, that being said, I do think they had to do that because of the One. They couldn't just have the X to compete with the PS5. I don't know if the One, if you're talking about like how there was a 1S and a 1X, I don't want to say that necessarily dictated this decision. I would say it inspired it, but I don't think that dictated it. But what I'm very curious about with the next gen, and I bring this up, I actually have a whole theory video I hope you guys look into about Xbox's plans for the next generation. And my theory is that they have to commit to one system. And that's why we're going to have a conversation about how much that system would cost. But this next system, and I see C2 in the chat is bringing up how, like, no, they had to make the Series S to, you know, be competitive and have the cheapest thing. But did it work out? That's what I would love to know. Did that really work out? I know a lot of people that actually bought a Series S and didn't bother to use it. They just let it collect dust. They meant it as their secondary machine, but meanwhile, it actually became a dust holder. But Sarah Bond in her statement said, like, multiple, like, our next generation consoles. Now, what that could mean is that there is a handheld, which they are saying is, like, the reports are saying it's either still in the works or maybe effectively canceled, but it just, Sarah could have chose that wording very purposely, or Xbox could have chose that wording very purposely, because it leaves it open. You know, instead of saying our next generation console, our next generation consoles leaves room. You know, like that could mean our next beefy boy that is the biggest technological leap in console generation. That's what she said when they first announced this. It could also mean the partnered stuff like the ROG Ally. It could also mean their in-house handheld that might still be in development. But I would love for you guys to say, and maybe I should post this as a poll here, like which you would prefer. Would you prefer for the next Xbox to be like a multiple SKU system or commit to one? So I'm going to put that. Multiple SKUs or not. Because the advantage of multiple SKUs is like it gives you a jump in. And it's funny because it's like, I don't know if Xbox can even abandon that, because even the ROG Ally that they just announced, it has the white and the black version. It has, you know, the weaker, cheaper system, and it's going to have the more expensive, more powerful one. And it seems like, I don't know, like, I just don't know if they are willing to let that go. Dogtag, I want one powerful SKU. I want it to have PC features. We're going to talk about that. Allied, the difference is the core and arcade were the same console internally, just a few Oh, wait. Allied says something. The multiple SKU's been around since the 360 generation, no? Yeah, no. The 360, the hardware was never altered. If I remember right. The hardware was never altered. It was always like the same console internally, just with a different faceplate or a different external design or more memory, like more hard drive memory. It was never really like an upgrade. Dog tag, they can barely sell one SKU. Nathaniel, Xbox has been with AMD since the 360. Yeah, exactly. Also, I wanted to point out that the jump from OG Xbox to 360 next gen was 4 years. Does that mean we could see a next gen Xbox release next year? I want to talk about that. Do I have that as a bullet point? Hang on. Oh, I don't think I do. Wait a minute. Yeah, I don't think I do. Yeah, okay, fine. Release date. I'll address that right now, Nathaniel. In terms of release date, I have this whole video talking about, you know, Xbox's potential plan to launch their next gen early, like get the jump on PlayStation, be separated from the Switch 2, and launch it in 2026. But that's what I was saying earlier about, like, the reason this video gets posted, I almost feel like it's to prep us. It almost feels like it's to, like, prepare us. And it really seems like they're trying to figure out what is my next point that I'm going to say is, let's just see what the next point I had was. This Xbox Ally reveal, I think, is very telling. Because the whole point of revealing this Xbox Ally is to build up their big hardware release for, you know, the holidays, right? This year, the holidays. Like, they're releasing a partnered hardware thing, but still a hardware thing. But what's really important to know about this thing is that not that it can play, you know, Xbox digital games portably or whatever, or PC Game Pass or all that stuff. The more important thing is the UI. They had content creators watch a presentation. They put an Xbox button on to make the bar. And in this thing, you see like Battle.net or whatever. And I see at the top, hold on. I see Discord up the top, Battle.net, Xbox, Hollow Knight. And making this UI that like makes it feel gamey. And then I think at the bottom, what is this? Is this a Windows icon? So, you know, potentially, it's just basically, from what all the content creators and influencers that got to try this out, they've been saying that it basically, it's cutting out all the Windows stuff that takes up a lot of memory and just trying to focus it as much as possible to just be a great gaming experience that you just turn it on and it functions just like a console. Like, that's what I want. That's the reason why I don't bother with PC gaming, is because I just want to turn on my thing. I don't want to update my drivers or anything like that. I just want to turn on my console and play. And so that's the point of this ROG Ally, which, by the way, I forgot to point out. It seems the people that are watching were split on multiple SKUs or not. But anyway, so that's the thing that's really important to know about this ROG, you know, this ROG partnership, this Xbox Ally is what it's called. It is integrating the most crucial factor to what Xbox is trying to do. Windows 11. Windows 11 gaming is what they are trying to do with this thing. They want this Ally to be kind of a demo to that. And to answer that question, like, could we get the next gen next year? I almost feel like they want to put this out this year to really be a big play test. If the Xbox Ally comes out this holiday, it is a big play test to figure out if they can get Windows 11 gaming to function as simple as possible, to feel like even if it's not an Xbox experience, but just a gaming experience with a simple UI to just scroll through things like they showed here. Like, that is their goal. And I feel like that's the attempt here. And it's like, I don't know if that means that they would be ready with the next system next year, because I feel like that'd be pretty soon to do it after this, if this is kind of the play test to that. But then again, in the update video from Sarah Bond, she was saying, like, we are trying to make Windows 11 the best place you can game. She said that. We're trying to make Windows 11 the best place to game. And we have to remember that Xbox is a Microsoft / Windows company. And that is why, like, there's a true big competitor to Xbox. And it is not Nintendo, and it is not PlayStation. And if you think you know what it is, I'm very curious. Because I heard somebody bring this up in their podcast, and I'm like, that actually makes a lot of sense. They're not trying to compete with PlayStation anymore. They're not trying to compete with Nintendo anymore. And it is not Apple, Google, Samsung, Amazon. It kind of is, but it's somebody else that very few have bothered to mention. But let's see what you guys say about this all so far. Dog Tag, next year works for me with E-Day and Halo Remake. Man, I'm telling you, if they launch their next-gen system during, like, their 25th anniversary with that kind of a launch year, that'd be crazy. That'd be so awesome. And yeah, Rocket, I want the freedom of PC with the convenience of a console. That's what I mean, man. We're gonna hit that. And Dog Tag, the fix focus on things like Wi-Fi, cooling mechanisms, fixing the dreaded RROD, more HD space. Yeah. All right, people are thinking the competitor. I see Apple, negative. Netflix, no. Nathan. The real thing that Xbox is trying to compete with is Steam. What? I've never heard this until now. Why would you say that? Listen. The ROG Ally is literally a direct answer to competing with the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck has taken a lot of people by storm. And the Steam Deck is currently like, I never expected this. I never expected the Steam Deck to just hit as hard as it has and gotten as many people in. They made an OLED model to like follow it up and stuff. I have buddies that like swear by it, and people love it because like they'll have both a PC and a Steam Deck. They'll play bouncing back and forth of it. And there's something else that you could bounce back and forth between, which is Xbox Cloud, Xbox PC, Xbox console. And I see Simon. By the way, hi Simon. I haven't seen you in a bit. Like, Simon says, I do love my Steam Deck. And people love Steam sales. Like, this is me on Steam right now. And, like, front page. Here's Rematch. Rematch is a game that is on Xbox Game Pass. Now, why would I say Xbox is trying to compete with Steam? Like, they have a great relationship with Steam. They post their games to Steam. Like, they've been posting their games to Steam forever. Recently, and I'm very curious, let me know if you've experienced this. I have been on my Xbox, like last night, I booted up Expedition 33, and when I booted it up, it would show me the prompt. Instead of just booting the game up, it showed me, like, play this game with Xbox Game Pass. I'm like, yes. And then I booted it up. I wanted to play 33 Immortals, and it's like, play this game with Xbox Game Pass. I'm like, okay. And I booted it up. It's as if it was like trying to market it to somebody that might be over, and it's like, what's this Game Pass thing? But the main, like, reason I say they're trying to compete with Steam is because Black Myth Wukong sold so many copies last year, created like the biggest concurrent player base ever, I think, or like in the top 3 of all time or something like that. And you know how it did that? Can anybody answer what the primary system was that people played Black Myth Wukong? That like 80% of the player base was on? There was also things, I think it was last year or the year before, that Atlas reported that Metaphor, ReFantazio, was the biggest launch for any Atlas created game, period. There was also Bandai Namco that explained that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero was the biggest like fighting game launch in just over Mortal Kombat 1 and such. And do you know why? It's because people bought it on Steam. People just want to play stuff on Steam now, and this is where I think Xbox is kind of making a smart play, is that they're realizing that the console player base just isn't growing. Yes, we're still selling Switch 2s like a madman, but it just came out. Yes, PlayStation 5 is doing great, but is it like, you know, going to easily surpass the PS4? Who knows? But PC, on the other hand, is exponentially growing. And that's why I say Xbox wants to compete with Steam. Because if you're gaming on PC, you're gonna get Steam. And I tell you what, I want to freaking play Helldivers 2 on my Xbox through Steam so bad, and that's what they're trying to do. The backup option that I posted to you guys in the poll was like the idea of your Xbox being able to play Steam and Epic Games. And with Sarah Bond's announcement, it sounds like through Windows 11, that's what they're trying to do. And there was some kind of accidental picture they posted earlier this year too, that was like, that you could see Steam on the top tab. And the reason they want to compete with Steam is because and you might say, how could they compete with them if they have Steam on their console? Doesn't that mean people are just going to buy games on Steam instead of Xbox? Well, and I'm seeing Rocket say, Jake Weeby said that they might add Steam this generation with just a console update. They could. I don't know if they'll nail it down in time, but they could. But the reason that they would want Steam to be on Xbox is, one, that would be a very big advantage in the console market. Nintendo's not going to do that. PlayStation's not going to do that. So if you want people to get into your ecosystem or your hardware, fine. Just put the competitor's marketplace on your console if they let you. And that's going to help Steam get more sales. Yeah, but you know what? Do you remember my 33 Immortals story? Do you remember my Expedition 33 story? When I booted those games up, it tried to like force and tell me, like, play these games with Game Pass. It was a very quick moment, but I did it. When I boot my Xbox up, sometimes they have that front page thing of like new Call of Duty out. If it is their hardware, then Xbox can control what you see. Yes, you can go to the Steam marketplace and you're going to buy the sequel to Expedition 33 on Steam instead of the Xbox marketplace potentially, but you will probably see a front page ad that's like, hey, the sequel to Expedition 33 just got added to Game Pass. So you could just play it there or buy here or whatever. Or, hey, by the way, if you play Game Pass games and you're a Game Pass member, you get a 10% discount if you want to buy it. I bought in games with Game Pass before just to have a discount on it because I wanted to keep it forever. That's their goal. Like, they want to have people on their hardware in their ecosystem to control that messaging that even if you could get games on Steam, they want to shove in your face. You could get it on Xbox, though, for a discount and with Game Pass. That's their strategy. But there's one more part of this strategy that I think is like really the actual end game. Let's see what you guys think about that first. Dog Tag, I just want Xbox to be on par with the competition. The Series X is on the same level as the PS5. The Series S is not. Correct. That's all it boils down to me. And Rocket, like when you watch Netflix without ads, but they always promote products here and there. I mean, do they? I have Netflix with ads now. I jump back on it and I hate ads on subscriptions, man. I just do. But that's the thing. You hop on Netflix and they have the right to choose what they promote. They could front and center, if you're just hopping on there to watch, I don't know, a Sony Pictures production like Spider-Man or something, but the front page, they're going to promote the fact that Squid Game Season 3 is out, which is their own in-house thing. That's to me the first thing you see because they get to control that messaging. And they want you to watch their thing. C2, the issue with having Steam and Epic Game Store on Xbox hardware is I'm assuming Microsoft doesn't get a cut of those sales. They do. They do. they probably won't. I don't know how that would work in terms of the Steam sales cut, C2. Like, if somebody buys a game on Steam in the Xbox hardware, I don't imagine Xbox gets any cut. You're correct on that. But if it's one of their things, if it's Call of Duty, if it's Doom or whatever, they get 70% of that because that's their product. That's what I'm wondering, is the whole distribution of it. So it's a very curious thing. It's funny because we're all assuming that's what they're going to do, but it's just that messaging of Windows 11 gaming. Why would they do that? That's the thing that I want to present to you. Why would they do this? Why would they like have Steam on or Epic on, as like, you know, C2 was saying, the cut and everything? And it's a risky play. It's just Xbox. It's just Xbox going forward. It's not Windows. It's not cloud. It's not the console. It's just Xbox. And Slinky says Xbox just wants everyone in Game Pass and probably don't care about the cut. Like, they'd want everybody on Game Pass, but what they really want is just everybody to open Xbox as if it is like you're watching this on YouTube. You're watching this on YouTube with your phone, with your TV, with your console, with your computer. You're watching this somehow on some sort of device. And I think Xbox, through cloud, through console, through PC, through the handheld, and wherever, they just want it all to have this similar Xbox experience that you just open it up. If they do embrace my 2026 strategy, which is their next console, let's say hypothetically they do have it ready by the end of 2026. That'd be wild for the 25th anniversary. They didn't do a mid-console refresh. They didn't do that. So that could be possible. I'm not too optimistic for it anymore. But with them being so spread out in so many places, I think their goal through Windows 11 is to make Windows 11 kind of the backbone to the whole Xbox experience. The console, your phone, tablets, computer, it all is going to look very similar through the Windows 11 experience, and just this unified UI that makes everything just feel like this is... Xbox is no longer a system, it's literally a platform. Again, just like YouTube, it is literally a platform that you can't access with PlayStation or Nintendo. You could buy the games, but you can't access the platform. You can't access the cloud gaming. You can't access Game Pass. You can't access Play Anywhere. You can't access the game bar. You can't access the community tabs. You can't access... Like, I'm in a situation right now where Rematch just got added to Game Pass. Anybody gonna play Rematch this weekend? Let me know. And I'm bummed because it's not cross-play. It's not a cross-play game, and my buddy Rob and I want to play it together, but he's probably only going to play it on PC. I want to play it on my console. I think Xbox's goal is to just make that not a thing anymore, to just make everything, like if you play it on Xbox, it is now all a unified front, which would technically be PC gaming. The unified front would be like to convert everything that is the console front to a PC front that is disguised as a console. You get what I mean? Does that make sense? And that's what this idea is. Rematches and crossplay, I ain't playing. That's what I mean, man. It's a bummer. Rocket, why does Xbox put free-to-play games on Game Pass? That is weird. I don't understand that. It's like, I think, well, the truth is that Game Pass, when they do list free-to-play games with Game Pass, that's them saying we have like a perk or exclusive cosmetic or something like that. Like, they give you little benefits. I love in the finals, they just give you like 1,500 coins or something like that. They want you spending time in the Xbox ecosystem. Exactly. Like, they just want you, whether it's playing games, hanging out with friends, using different marketplaces, they just want you in that ecosystem so they can market the shit out of whatever they want to you. Now, hypothetically, before I bring up the big debate that I think a lot of us have here, I want to see what you're saying. Yes, Slinky, this is an Xbox. And C2, Sarah Bond did say multiple storefronts, so I wouldn't say it's an assumption. That's true. That's a good catch, C2. Sarah Bond in the update, she did say like multiple storefronts. That's what I'm saying. The wording there can be really pickpocketed and like it's very intentional. I feel like it's very intentional the way she phrased a lot of things. Allied Boy, it's just Xbox. I am mixed on because I don't want consoles to feel control and have downsides of playing on PC. If I want a PC, I'll get a PC. And this is Rocket. It's not Cuphead, but good guess. I'm waiting for somebody to guess the background. But that's true, and this is where I'm with Allied. Like if I put in my own personal opinion, this does concern me a little bit because it's like I just want, what's up, JB? I want it all to still feel like the console experience. And that's the thing that they have to really, like, if they do this, they have to really iron it out. But the big thing that I wanted to like show here is I saw this post that I think is really good. And it's beautiful art, by the way. Like, oh no! There we go. I think this is beautiful art. Look at that. Beautiful art. Beautiful. Even though Xbox doesn't care about Halo anymore, but beautiful. But it's what he says. PlayStation is the leader in the traditional console space. Nintendo is the leader in the handheld console space. And now Microsoft focusing on Windows, PC, and their presence in all devices, in my opinion, all three found their strengths. And I think that's the whole goal of all of it. Like what Sarah Bond's update was talking about this morning, is that's what it feels like. It just feels like, you know, we're not going to compete with Nintendo in the handheld space, but we can make one, but we can promote our Play Anywhere program, where if you get a game, you can play it on your Ally or your Xbox or your PC or cloud or whatever. And then PlayStation, we're not going to be able to compete with them in terms of console sales because they just own that competition now. They own that digital market, and just no matter how much their first parties won't put out stuff, made a video about that, then people are still going to buy their system. And that's because they own that traditional console market. So to address Allied Boy's message, you know, I'm with you. I'm worried about them embracing like a PC as a center of their future. But at the same time, if we completely take our preferences out of it, it's something that they could own. It's something that they could own, like this picture's getting at, where it's like Nintendo could own handhelds, PlayStation could own consoles, and Xbox could kind of just own the platform. And they kind of have their own three things going on. It's not Incredibles. So I thought that was a neat picture. That like, I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, instead of doing the exclusivity game, they are just focusing on this whole, this is an Xbox direction. But before my last point, let me see. Oh boy, Duke, that's fair. And I think the way Xbox does Series S releases is flawed. It should prioritize Series X release optimization, then Series S optimizing later. Not try to release both optimized the same day. Yeah, that's a problem, Allied. They, that's just, yeah, that's like a requirement for them now. So it's unfortunate. By the way, if you have been here for more than 10 minutes, leave a like on the stream. It helps suggest it to folks that are not here. Or just drop a random emote. That is fine. But the last case in point, let's think about how expensive this next Xbox is going to be. Because I put that on the poll, and you guys, majority said, like, the majority thing that you guys liked was staying under $1,000. And I see Dogtag going, too expensive. And this is the problem, is that, like, if they made it very traditional console-based, it could, you know, maybe be cheaper. But the issue is that the PlayStation 5 Pro has already set a benchmark. Whatever this next system is, it's got to be more powerful than a PS5 Pro. And they're going to figure out how to like get these like 50, 80 cards into the system using the AI generation or whatever. Again, people are like, when they hear AI. But they're going to do that, and and the PS5 Pro already does it. It has like AI generated frames to fill the gaps and the resolutions too. But Xbox is going to do that. So if it's going to be at least as powerful as a PS5 Pro, and the Rogue Ally, FYI, the Rogue Ally, we don't know how expensive that thing's going to be, but currently a Rogue Ally, the X version, if you will, is $900. $900. So I don't know if that means we could expect, this coming Rogue Ally to be $900 as well, the X version, but hopefully they can keep it down, but I don't know how they will. At 900, not even 4K. But that's the thing. It's like, for some reason, if something is PC oriented, then it is more expensive. So my question to that is, what would this next console be priced if the ROG Ally is $900, the PS5 Pro is $700? You know? Just very curious about that. Cause yeah, I don't I'm not optimistic that it will be. Hopefully it is one system. And I tell you what, I see some people going like if it's $1,000, it's not worth it. Now, there are some expensive ass PCs. You know what? Let's just do it right now. I did not intend to do this live, but let's try it right now. Let's say, let's say, how expensive? Google Gemini is a PC that can run 4K 120 FPS ray tracing on, say, a game like Doom: The Dark Ages. AI. What the frick? A PC capable of running Doom: The Dark Ages at 4K 120 frames with ray tracing will likely cost $2,000 to $4,000 or more, depending on the specific components chosen, and whether you are building the PC yourself or purchasing a pre-built system. The most crucial components for this level of performance are a high-end GPU, like the NVIDIA RTX 490, and a powerful CPU, the Intel i7 or i9, or AMD Ryzen, which is their partnership with AMD. So, I don't know. Like, that's the AI answer. However, Force RTX 5080. Just hypothetically, what does a 5080 cost? So, like, I'm not saying it's going to have the graphical capability of a 5080, but I know that they did try to make the 5080 seem much more approachable than the 4080s by using AI stuff. Now, there's the cheaper options. I could have swore I saw one that was like $500 or something, but it's just like, when you start thinking about how expensive it is to build a PC that is capable of doing some of the crazy shit that PCs can do, you're looking at $2,000. So if Xbox can somehow simplify that into a compact system, I'm just saying, I don't find $1,000 to be unrealistic. Now, is that something that everybody will buy? No, but that's what they market. I'm not telling them, I'm not the business leader. This is just me trying to understand the strategy. Okay, so before I say this, don't think I'm trying to like justify corporations or anything like that. I'm just like trying to explain it completely unbiasedly. Obviously, I want it to be cheaper than this. I'm just trying to make sense of it. So before you attack me, I'm just making sense here. I'm just speaking logical stuff here. Nothing else. Obviously, I want it cheaper, but I just feel like they would own that. They would own the fact that, yeah, Nintendo owns this handheld thing. PlayStation has the console. We can just embrace the fact that we have the powerhouse beefy ass system that basically is the hybrid of a PC and console, and we're going to charge $1,000 for it. Our cheaper option is going to be the $900 handheld thing that people can plug in, and then there's a $750 or $700 white version. It seems like that might be the strategy. Oh, and if you can't afford any of these 3 systems, don't worry. We just announced this partnership with AMD that they're not only helping us with our next-gen hardware, they're also putting their stuff in our next-gen cloud servers. So, if you just get Game Pass Ultimate, you could just play all of our games with the cloud, and you could buy in our mobile marketplace, which is still supposedly going to be a thing, like to buy games through mobile and be able to play them that way. They are trying to have all their bases covered. If you can't afford these things that are above $600, then you're going to have to use the cloud, which I know didn't work out for Google Stadia, but like many things today, you know, we thought we would have a problem with how Xbox One was saying like, oh, you could only play online and stuff. But now we're just kind of used to it. Cloud being the future, I might just invest in a good smart TV. Like, it probably will. They've got Samsung. Didn't they get to LG recently, I thought? That's the plan, man. That's the plan, Stan. That's their whole plan to, like, potentially, I don't know. I could be wrong, but all that makes sense to me, where it's just like, let's just let Nintendo be the handheld peeps. Let's let PlayStation be the traditional under the TV peeps. And let's just be the peeps that are kind of just everywhere with so many options. If you can't afford it, buy old gen. Or keep old gen. Not even buy old gen, but just keep old gen. Or yeah, buy a freaking Series S, which hopefully they could just keep as low as possible and use that as a cloud box. But in reality, it's like, no, if you're going to do cloud, then you... I got one of these and I still haven't opened it. Just get a Fire Stick. Get a Fire Stick. It'll play cloud gaming for you. 1080p, 30 frame. You won't be able to miss out on this next gen, which I hope, by the way, I kind of hope this strategy that they just embrace how freaking hard they can hit their next system. That's going to be the next poll I want to present to you. I'm going to type that. Do you want Xbox's next gen games to be exclusive to the powerhouse and use cloud for last gen players? Sure. Because I think that's how they'll do it. Like, the last gen players won't be left behind. C2 at that point is just a Starforge pre-built PC, basically. Super JV, PCs aren't mainstream for a reason. They're too expensive. They're not accessible. It's like, in JV, you're right. They're not mainstream technically, but yet, I brought up a point earlier before you got here, how like Black Myth Wukong, Metaphor, Dragon Ball Fighter Zero, or Sparking Zero, they all reached massive records, and that's because of Steam. They had these Steam simultaneous launches, and because of that, they sold like more than double what they were gonna do before. Hell, we could talk about PlayStation for a second. Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 became the fastest selling PlayStation game ever, and it's a brand like, yeah, there was Helldivers 1, but did people really know about it before 2? I feel like 2 introduced people to Helldivers. And just because they added the game to Steam day and date with PlayStation, it sold like 10 million copies within a week or two or something. It became their fastest selling game because it was sold on Steam. So like, while I agree that PC isn't that mainstream yet, it's stuff like that that I wonder if it proves us wrong. I really wonder if it proves us wrong. And like also Super JV, cloud gaming is so unrealistic. I don't know, man. Like I played a free-for-all match in Halo Infinite, and somehow I won using cloud gaming. And that's a shooter. That's a shooter. Like, fighting games and shooters should not work in cloud gaming because you're going to have to deal with the latency. But yet, I won a free-for-all. I'm not god at Halo. I am not a god at Halo. I love Halo, but I'm not, like, competitively good at it. And then C2 brings up a great point. China plays almost exclusively on PC. And I think that's another thing that the gaming industry is realizing, is that China is becoming the market that we got to appeal to. So it's like, as much as I don't want to say PC gaming is mainstream yet, I feel like there's so many case in points that's like proving me wrong on that. And I'm just starting to accept it now. Dog tag, the cloud is not worth it. If you live in a city, maybe the connection is strong enough. I live in a typical town and the speeds and connections required for high-end gaming are unreliable. Yeah, if one lives in a bad spot, which is the part that, you know, like they have to figure out how can we do this with very little speeds. They advertise as long as you have like a 20 megabit or higher download, then, you know, it'll work, which it does. Is it ideal? No, but. Nathaniel, didn't Xbox say that this year's COD won't be releasing on last gen? If so, they might be testing to see if people will on last gen go towards cloud. I don't know, Nathaniel. I don't think there's a lot of weird mystery around Black Ops 7. Like Black Ops 7, I don't think we know of any platforms or anything like that yet. So I don't know. Super JV cloud gaming might be good enough for casual players who live in highly dense areas with really good internet connection, but you're determinant outside of that. Like not everyone has fiber, Lamau. I don't have fiber. I've done it with like 50 megabit download. Like fiber is like 1 gigabyte speed. And you definitely don't need that. If you just have like 25 to 50 download, then you're good. Allied Boy, I currently have 200 hours in cloud gaming. Wow, man. Good for you. But anyway, so I don't know. It's just very interesting the direction that Xbox is going with all these plans. And again, I think at the end of the day, as much as I don't want the next gen system to be, you know, freaking $1,000, it just, to me, I'm like, I feel like they just can own, like, I think that's what they need. I think they need an Xbox that's just going to be like very bold. I think that's the thing. Like, whatever they're doing, they need to be very bold. Because that's been the annoying part about Xbox the past like couple years, is that they kind of just tiptoe and like, oh, don't worry, kumbaya, but like just own what you're gonna do. And it might seem risky, but help us like understand it, like I am trying to do now. Like, I don't want to be your spokesperson. Just explain it the way I'm explaining it in a very direct way, and just own the fact that it's like, yeah, we got the most expensive system. This is why. This is a system that you can access multiple marketplaces. This is a system that vastly outdoes the PS5 Pro. This is a system that can function as a hub, if you will. This is a system that has Game Pass, Play Anywhere, and all these things. Like, just advertise the hell out of that, and that will help you to appeal to that specific market. And those that can't afford it could either do the Ally, or stick with their series and do cloud, or just get a Fire Stick or something. But I do think this picture of just, you know, the big three are now doing their own things. I'm going to miss the competition with that. But yeah. Nobody gets the soundtrack of this whole thing. We took a nosedive. I see that. Dog tag, when I play, I want the highest fidelity possible. I'm a graphics junkie, so if cloud try to deliver as close to 4K and or 60 frames, I don't want it. Next gen should feel and look like next gen. So if cloud try to deliver as close to... I don't know if we'll ever get to a place that cloud gaming delivers 4K. Because then that would hurt. You know, like they need to keep it 1080p so the servers don't like crash, or like they, you know, like latency is fine and everything. Like I don't see them going beyond like 1440p at most. 1440p 60 frame. I feel like they can't go beyond that. Otherwise, it's just not going to run good. Again, my experience with cloud gaming has been great. But that's through cloud though. I know. Oh, and this is another thing they mentioned, going back to the whole competitor thing. I mentioned Steam as the competitor. Nvidia is also a competitor, because Nvidia has GeForce Now, which is like the top dog when it comes to cloud gaming. Like I have a buddy that like exclusively plays through Nvidia GeForce Now or whatever, because all the games, it just feels like he's playing them natively. So it's like cloud gaming is in a very different place than it was 10 years ago when Google Stadia tried to do it. Like, it's in a very different place now. And that was part of that update that Sarah Bond said. It's like, we're going with AMD to help invest in that too. PC cafes should become normalized in America with cheap prices. Yeah, only Japan's got that, right? That's not true. That's not true. Do they got it elsewhere? I only see that in anime, but that's only because I'm an anime person. Allied Boy, the beauty of cloud is that you don't have to install games. It lets you play before it install to decide if it's worth installing for the graphics, especially games you... I've done that, Allied. That's a good point. I've done that. Like, that's been a great way for me to just, like, try a game out, and then I'm like, all right, this is fun. And then I download the game to, like, play it, and I'm like, woo! It's more so just, like, to sharpen it up. Like, you could tell the difference. Very much so. Ally Boy, it's annoying to install COD game. Oh my god, Call of Duty. Jeez. Given the file sizes, the cloud has been clutch for playing the campaigns. I wish... can't you just install the campaigns, though? I thought they made that. So... Dog tag Allied, yeah, COD is obnoxious as fuck with their file sizes. Yeah, they are. So I don't know. What did I ask in the poll? I asked Xbox's next-gen games to be exclusive to the Powerhouse and use cloud for last-gen players. Majority of you are saying yes. I see basically it's like a 60-40 for... Yeah, and admittedly, I'm kind of there. Like, I did a whole video about this, and this is, like, I'll spoil my theory, but I really would love for you to check out my theory about, like, Xbox's future plans for 2026, basically. And I see questions coming in. Please drop them. Like, now we're to the point of the stream where I'm going to, like, you know, just focus on Q&A. But I'll spoil my theory for that video is you don't see the platforms for Blade, Gears of War E-Day, Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3, OD. Like, and you might say, well, that's just because, you know, they just announced it or they didn't. No. In the same showcase that those games were revealed at, you would see the logos of those games underneath. Like, you would see the logos of PlayStation or Xbox or Series and all that stuff. But those games I listed did not have that. And I wonder if that's them, like, we're just going to go full-blown, like, next-gen exclusive. And I think that could be, like, a very ballsy strategy. But, like, why not? You know, you already... Look at what Nintendo's doing. They made Mario Kart and Donkey Kong Bonanza exclusive to Switch 2. You could just do that and then use cloud to be, like, the answer for those that can't move on. But, you know, use it as a temporary transition. But for those that are the hardcore, it's like, this system is the most powerful thing ever, and it's gonna play Gears of War E-Day and all these other things like a banger. They have not said the platforms yet for Gears of War E-Day, and I'm very curious, man. I'm really curious. All right, Q&A time. Rocket, do you think one day there'll be an MMO where everyone in the world can be in the same server? Like Ready Player One? Someday. Yeah. I think, yeah, like 20 years from now. Well, actually, I'm thinking like virtual reality, but just a general MMO. Yeah, I don't know. That would require a lot of people to all be into the same game. I think the closest thing we are to that is like Fortnite, but... Dog tag, curious question. A friend of mine lives in Seattle. Hi. And he has a 1 terabyte data cap each month. Ooh, I've dealt with that. I feel like cloud gaming would eat more of that faster than a traditional console experience. Is that accurate? That's a really good question, Dog tag, but I don't actually think so, because it kind of just depends on the game. Like, much data does cloud gaming use? Because, like, at least Google Gemini is saying cloud gaming, which streams from remote servers, uses a significant amount of data, typically ranging from 3 to 20 gigabytes per hour, depending on the resolutions and quality settings. By the way, this is another reason that I said, like, they can't, if they go above 1080p, it's not feasible. Lower resolutions like 720 will consume less data, about like 1 to 2 gigabytes per hour, while 4K can consume 20. So, like, the thing about that is that I had a roommate, okay? And he was downloading games left and right. And he would download updates to games left and right. And him downloading those updates killed our data. It killed our data because some of those updates were like 20 gigs. Now, 20 gigs of data could probably give you like 8 to 10 hours of cloud gaming time. Sometimes that's like as much as somebody might game in a week. So I actually think cloud gaming could be feasible for in a situation like that, Dog Tag. It's possible. It just depends. Like if it's like indies, you know, like I just played to a T and I think that game is like single-digit gigabytes of a game. There's some games that like, you know, Celeste or Minecraft, you know, there's games that don't take much data to download at all. But if it's like the AAA big budget stuff, oh yeah. But the resolution is what affects it, not the graphics. But yeah, unlimited data for sure. Dog Tag Mine does too, but he has to pay like over 200 for unlimited, I think. It's wild. Yeah. C2, I asked you last year. Let me breathe. C2, I asked you last year, what price Game Pass would be too expensive? And you said if it was any higher, but that was before games were 80. How do you feel about that now? I don't remember saying if it was any higher. Like I would debate about it if it was any higher. And I still feel like that today. I think I would be a bit more... All right. Do you recognize the soundtrack? I don't think anybody's going to guess the soundtrack that we've been playing today. I'm going to have that as like our Topic Friday thing. I'm going to have a game soundtrack playing in the background. And you have to guess what it is. But yeah, I see Slinky saying $30 max for Game Pass. Like, it just depends, man. Like, I just don't think it's feasible for 25. Like, 25 to me is a max. And that has to be a good month. That has to be a really good month of games that I'm trying out and stuff. Oh, by the way, if they go with this PC route, Colt Eastwood illustrated this. If they go this PC route, then Game Pass, it can't raise in price. Because they're going to have to remove Xbox Live. If you're going to charge PC players a membership, like you're going to gate lock online games from being played because they are not paying for Xbox Game Pass Core, you fucked up. You're going to get destroyed, and people are going to buy that system. So I think also the nice thing about this whole PC route is that it might, I don't think it's going to make Game Pass cheaper, but I think it's going to prevent it from getting more expensive. Because they definitely like are going to have to consider that and be like, ooh, we have to stop charging for Xbox Live. Creature, when trying to sell it, what would be the best wording? Just own the most powerful console, the most powerful and one-of-a-kind PC console hybrid or something that they should try to own, or like experience everything Xbox in one ultimate package. Something like that. Like they have to be bold about it and own what it is. Don't dance around it. Allied, yeah, so just figuring out the data thing. 20 hours a week. 20 gigs of cloud data. 4 weeks. Is that math right? Yeah, that seems right. Yeah. Rocket, what genre would you want to be the oasis of our world if you could only pick one? Modern. I don't want it to change. I'm boring. I don't know. I guess sci-fi. C2, if paying for Xbox Online Play goes away, do you think Sony would do away with it as well? Hell no! They would have to. Very reluctantly, but then again, you know, like, I don't know. I don't picture that in the slightest. I don't picture that in the slightest. They could, but I have zero faith of it. Slinky, if Microsoft made a tier for Game Pass that included all DLC, which should be Ultimate in my opinion, for their first-party games, how much would you pay for that tier? An extra $5. I would say an extra $5. I think that would be easily worth an extra $5 to have access to all their DLC, or maybe even package in like other like Lies of P. You know, that'd be cool if like Ultimate let you have access to Lies of P, but then Ultimate Plus or whatever, don't call it that, would allow you to get access to like DLC to Lies of P. And I still think Ultimate they should. I don't know. I guess yeah. They have to make their money somehow. I mean, that's probably what I'm going to do with Doom of the Dark Ages. Like, I'm playing Doom of the Dark Ages through Game Pass, but I'm probably going to, like, buy the premium edition so I can play the DLC, but I'm only having to pay for the premium part. Game Pass Ultimate X. No more X. Marketing slogan could be PC console hybrid master race. No. Game Pass Ultra. If Ultimate gave you all their DLC, maybe they'd be inclined to actually make the damn Halo DLC. Nope, they never will. They'll never do it. Nathaniel, after 25 years, it finally becomes a direct Xbox. That's true. That was the initial plan. It's really funny how it's like we're kind of winding up in a world that the initial plan is happening. So, anyway, I don't know if I have anything else to say on it, man. Like, I hesitated making it this week's topic because, again, I don't want to, like, do back-to-back Xbox topics, even though I could talk about Xbox long live long day, but, like, I don't know, like, I just thought this was an interesting thing to bring up, because it's just a really unique direction, you know, it's just a really unique direction to make Xbox kind of become their own thing, and I just wonder if it pays off for them, if it works out. I do really wonder if they do it next year. That'd be crazy, and it'd be very ideal. Because they could do it after the Switch 2, and they could do it before the PS6. I don't know, like... that's a risky play, too, because then what if the PlayStation 6 is like, okay, we gotta outdo that. But it's like, okay, if you outdo that, and you don't have access to Steam, that's gonna be... that's gonna be an interesting thing to, like, choose. Okay, well, these consoles, they're both priced $1,000. And yeah, this one's got exclusives, but this one's got Steam. Take my money! Like, I want to play Helldivers 2 on my Xbox so bad. So bad. But man, I kind of want them to do it next year, but I don't think they're ready. It just really feels like they're getting ready for it, though. Like, it really feels like they're gearing up for it. No, I never feel like iCarly, Rocket. Do you think they will hold a special event for the 25th anniversary? Oh, yeah, Slinky. I think they're going to celebrate in a great big way. I hope so. I really hope they do, like, XO or something. Like, please celebrate your 25th anniversary. Like, we'll talk about that next year, but yeah, please make it a big year. Dog Tag, I would love a console next year, do a 360 and have it come out a year before PS6. Yeah, call it a Xbox 720 just for nostalgia's sake. What would this system be called? That's a good question. What would this system be called? Allied, we should talk about politics next week. No, next week we will have a halftime check-in for what is our game of the year. And I'm going to have the old Codename Good Game panel back on. We're going to check on our fantasy critic of Codename Good Game now that we're like halfway in the year. Who's winning, who's losing, some shockers. So that's what we're doing next week. I'm going to be very excited for that, and I hope you'll join us for that. Your guys' names, Xbox 2. Wild. Oh, but you know what? You know how the Xbox One, it was like everything in one? They could say Xbox 2. Because it's a PC and console, it's two different things. No, don't do it. Xbox Prime. I don't like Prime. Something stupid, I promise. Correct. XX, Xbox 2, S, XX, Allied Boy, Windows box. Okay, a very interesting idea. Does it have Windows in the title? Ooh, I don't want that. I don't want that. The Xbox 2-in-1 experience. Ah! The TOE. God, I hope they don't say like Windows in the title. Another full revolution. Xbox renewal. Oh, easy Windows fix. Xbox WB. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what they'll think of the name for it. Like, do they be bold and just title it Xbox? No. Because whatever it is, it could be like just the end game, you know? Like, this is our last system. We want to make it as beefy as possible. We're not going to do another one after this, probably. We'll make some, like, little, you know, supplementary things and maybe a handheld. But, like, I feel like it could be endgame. So if it is endgame, then they could just go, like, simply titling it Xbox. Ugh. Series H for hybrid. Xbox Unlimited. No, I don't like that. Series X2. I don't want the multiple SKUs, man. I want them to just commit to one. Anyway, we'll see. Nobody guessed the music. The music we have been listening to this whole time has been Psychonauts 2. We will, I like that as a theme. I don't know if we'll do it next week, but I like that as a theme. There will always just be like, but it's just us, background music, and people have to guess. It's been Psychonauts 2 this whole time. The whole time? Yeah. But I'm gonna skedaddle. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Play some Rematch or Halo or Mario Kart or insert successful PlayStation Live Service game here. Helldivers 2. Play whatever you want this weekend. And just have a lovely one, man. I'm going to be a bit busy next week. I have a 2-day video shoot. So we'll see what comes of it. I am hoping I will have a Switch 2, like, again, to ease off the tension of Xbox. So, like, I have a Switch 2 unboxing video that I want to compare, like, the Switch OLED to the Switch 2 and just, you know, so on and so forth. So maybe that'll be out next week, but most of all, I'm excited for next Friday where we're going to do a halftime check-in for our game of the year and how our Fantasy Critic draft is doing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at, like, Codename Good Game, Fantasy Critic. Fun time. Thanks for the great stream, Keeps. You're very welcome, Nathaniel. I hope you appreciated it. And Dogtag, I'm glad you appreciated it. Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys came with me. You make it oh so special to talk with you. Wish me luck. I applied to a PAX panel, PAX West. If anybody's going to PAX West, you should @me on Twitter. I would love to see you there. But I am applying to something there. I'm hoping to get a content creator badge and host a panel there of Codename Good Game. So wish me luck on that. But otherwise, have a good weekend, guys. I'll see you later.